Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I have the pleasure to have with us Madeleine Wallin. She's the Secretary General of the European Federation of Parents and Careers at Home. And today we're going to talk about supporting families and shaping the future. Thank you, Madeleine, for being with us today. Such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And before we dive into our topic, let me know and the audience a little bit more about yourself, what you're doing, how it come up for you to have this interesting work.
Okay. I live in Sweden, and I was born in 1966, so I am quite old now. Um, and I have 5 children. I live in the countryside, and I'm married to Magnus. And together we also have a business that we created in 2009. And it's going very well with that business. So it makes it easier for me to work on a voluntary basis, full time on a voluntary basis. So the last 25 years, I have been working in a Swedish national organization called Haro, and it's for stay-at-home parents. And I'm actually the president now, newly elected this spring, once again, because I feel the need of still making changes. I don't think maybe I can ever give up on these issues. And also I work as the General Secretary in FEFAF I've been in FEFAF also for many years. So it all started with me expecting my fourth child, my only daughter. I realized that the family life that we led, it wasn't really working. We worked, both of us, me part-time and my husband full-time, and it was a bit chaotic having 3 children, 3 small boys. And so I decided to stay at home. And it was this instant thing that happened to me. I remember the time I was in the hallway and the children were out playing, and it was like, I have to do something. This doesn't work. So it was like a force from the inside, like this strong motherhood, intuitive, I don't know, a strength, really. And it was obvious. And the decision from not knowing where I was headed till just seeing the road forward, it was so obvious and it was so real and so simple to take the decision. But my husband didn't really agree. When I told him, when he got home, it was like, I was so enthusiastic and I have made this decision. I will stay at home and this is the best for us and the family. And he was like, no, people, you can't do that. We can't afford it. People don't do that. So he was a bit frightened. And this is the situation in Sweden, I would say, that you just go up, not only in Sweden, you just go on and you
Yeah,
do.
exactly. That's what I was
Yeah.
going to say, because there's these challenges still for women
Yeah.
today if they want to make that decision. But not only challenges, is also in terms of society, it's not well seen. Do you want to
No,
talk a little bit about that in your work? What has been the challenges that you have seen that women are facing now,
yes,
mothers?
yes, you don't see the option. There is no alternatives. You don't have any role models because everyone is leaving their children to preschools. In Sweden, it's called preschools. We took away daycare a long time ago, and now it's in the educational system. And the reason for that, I think, is to make parents believe it's better, it's more professional, and you as a parent, you are just not that important. It makes parents, It makes it easier for parents to leave their children. And it's really sad because you have the feeling of something is wrong. It doesn't feel good to leave your your child who's crying to the preschool, but you don't have an option. You have to do this. So I think parents are caught in a system, and also the preschool teachers are caught in one system because they need to protect the parents so they can work. So they don't tell the whole truth about the child and the situation for the child during the day, because you are locked in this few options you have. You have to work.
And don't you think that also led to not being recognized as it should, the work of a mother who is staying at home with their children, the important work that she's doing, because we are building the new generation, building the new human beings, right?
Yes, I think the most important job you can ever have. Right? It's not a job. It's more like a responsibility, and a caring responsibility. The most important task in the world, and it's made invisible. And how can you see yourself as valued, or that you do something important, if it's not visible, if you don't even talk about the word mother, motherhood, and parents, and families and homes in a positive way? It's they take it away from so many places, and politicians, they speak about legal guardians and caretakers when it's, please, let's talk about parents, let's talk about fathers, let's talk about mothers, and the importance of creating families, strong families, because if we don't have that, it's very difficult to maintain a strong society and a strong well-functioning future, I think.
And it's very important when we have policy making that also focus on the needs of young children and the mothers, because babies expect to be cared by the mother, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk about how it has been your work and your challenge in terms of reaching out to the people that really have the power to change policies?
Yes. It's a struggle, I would say. And the first struggle, I think, is that there is no continuity. Politicians come and go all the time, so you don't have the same people. You have to start anew all the time. Since I started to work with this, I think we have had like maybe 12 ministers of gender equality. We don't have any ministers for family issues. But to get in contact with these people and try to speak to them in a good way that they understand these issues. And it's very sensitive, because most of the people who are on that kind of level, they have made choices that are on the opposite of a choice that the choice that I did, to stay at home for several years. It's very difficult if you want to be a minister to stay at home and care for your children for several years. You can do it, of course, but you can't do it at the same time. So it becomes very sensitive and very personal. So people push us away. Actually, once I met a politician in at the politician week in Sweden, and she actually, when I said the word mother or motherhood, she took a step back. It was like she wanted to protect herself from me and what I was talking about, because I guess maybe it's painful, because to make the choice to focus on your career when your children are very small, of course, if you're not there, you're not there. You don't have time for them. So it's very, very difficult to reach politicians and to change these issues if we don't have someone who really understand what it means, or who has who listens to us, because that's also something. You should, as a politician in a democracy, listen to everyone, to all voices. But I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. Not here, at least.
How come society can better support parents who choose to stay at home with their children? What can society do? What would
Yes.
be suggestions that you would give them?
Number one is to trust parents, to trust that they have and they can take responsibility for their own children and their own families. There are some that can't do that, but if you are not given time enough to care and to make both mistakes and to correct yourself, if you don't have time to do that, then it's very difficult to become a good parent, because it takes practice. It's like if you leave your children the whole day and you meet them in the evening for, I don't know, for a short hour of time or some hours, and then in the weekend, how can you practice? How can you become a better parent? It's very, very difficult. You need time, especially during the first years.
Yes, and in a way, you are asking people to slow down, because
Yes.
when we are making an inner reflection on our life, on how we want things to be, you are asking people to slow it down and somehow make life on their own choices. So instead of just reacting to everything that comes to you, you're actually making your life, your decisions, and not making decisions just because, as you said, it's not an option, so you can't do anything
No.
about it, right? So you're asking people to slow down, but you're also asking for repair. And that means that you are saying, yes, maybe up until now you were thinking on things in a way, and now you are, you're showing people that there's another way, that it's also possible, that it was the way that it was even before kindergartens existed,
Yeah.
and it worked for thousands of years. And so why not, bring the best of the two worlds and give mothers or parents a choice to stay at home if they want to do it. But that also is asking for repair for things that maybe you thought you did well, but now you want to do it in another way. And I think children are very resilient and are very loving and accepting of the choices that their parents do. And they actually want to be the best friends of their parents. So if somehow someone is listening and is feeling this internal dialogue, know that children are very loving and welcoming to overcome challenges and to repair what has been done up until then. So, in terms of what are the role that you think that fathers and extended members of the family can play in the early childhood development? Because it's not only the mother. When we're talking about this kind of decision, it also involves other members of the family.
Absolutely. I think um, you cannot do this alone, or it's very difficult to do this alone. I was a single mother with my first child, and I was very young, or very young. I was 22 at the time, and not to having a father, uh, it's that is very difficult. And I made the decision to move back to my mother and my youngest sisters. So I I knew I couldn't manage to do this by myself in a city far away from my mother and my family, my extended family. So that was a very, very good choice for a young woman who wanted to move to Brazil and to do other things in life. But I took a long time thinking about this, how to do it. So we need, the child really needs to have a very close and strong support from the first and the main caregiver, the main, often the mother, yes. And the mother and the child need to have support from the outside, especially during the first year and first years. But then that extends, so the other people around the child are important from start, of course, but there needs to be some kind of protection for this small unit, because the child still belongs to the mother somehow. He or she needs to be breastfed, and things they are still attached to one another, especially from the point of view of the child.
Yeah, the
So,
child is still co-regulating the emotions through the mother, through the main caregiving, which is usually the mother, because it's the mother who can stay a bit more at home. I know that I live in Norway, you're living in Sweden, and in the Nordic countries, we have more time to stay at home with our kids and still have, paid paid income. But in other parts of the world, it's not even a possibility, or the amount of time that they have is like 2 or 3 months, and then they have to give their children away to the to the kindergartens, and it's tough, I must say. I went through that when I was in Portugal, and it's very tough to give that away. But as you said, it's something that you have to do, because if not, it's not possible for you to live. They will not help you in any ways. So that's why we also fight here in Prenatal Alliance to have an extended maternity leave, because that is important, not only for the mother, for the child, but for the future generations. They need that secure attachment, that sense of confidence, of acceptance, of self-esteem, and all that is brought by the bond that they have with their mother. So this support is also a change in Western society, in a way that we are seeing it today, or in the way that we are evolving today. But there are other societies where things are not like that, and they are actually, very preservative of the connection between mother and baby, and how that can be continued. You want to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing in the organizations that you are presiding? How do they function? What is the work that it's being done?
okay, in the European, in the Swedish organization first, we work for making the option to stay at home with your children for as long as you need, or for as long as the child needs you. We want to make that a possible option. And at the moment, we are trying to fight mandatory suggestion on mandatory preschool from the age of 3, 30 hours a week. That would mean that you have to leave your children. And if you don't, you have to pay a fine, or it's very difficult. So we are trying to make a difference in policies, but it's hard. I think our best option is to make parents more aware, and there are more and more young women, I would say, who comes to our organization and become a member, and who stays at home. But it's still like a big taboo just to talk about these issues. So we are trying to make meeting places for mothers who wants to care for their children. It's crazy. And it's like, you cannot talk about this publicly, it has become it's not a norm to care for your own child. The norm is to leave your child, and if you don't, you are being questioned. So we want to change the narrative, and we want to make it easier for mothers to just talk openly about how
Yeah,
to
and
care for their
not
child.
only that, but only the your choice of having more children than just one or two. You want to
Yeah,
have more,
yeah,
right? I remember
yeah,
when I said I want another child, and in my family was like, "Are you crazy?"
yeah, exactly.
Right? Just having more children. Yeah, I want to have more children. I feel it in my core. I think it's my call. I want to have more children.
Yeah,
And it feels like, what are you going to do? I'm going to be a mother.
yes,
Right, I'm going to be a mother. That's what I feel. It's what I enjoy doing,
yeah,
and it's what I was made to do. And I think that when we start having this conversation in society, one of the reasons why we do the prenatal wellness global summit is also about bringing these issues to light, because when women are more aware and connected with themselves, it feels like it is an easy choice, because we have that maternal instinct. As you said, I felt a cold and I needed to stay at home with my children, right?
yeah,
So it feels that it's something that it's so natural. We really want to stay more time. I would not say that it's for everyone. That's not what we're talking about. As technology is not for everyone, right? But but we may say, well, but I want to have the choice. I want to have the possibility to do that,
yeah.
right? And if you could change any policy across Europe to better support families, what would that be? Would that be regarding paid maternity leave, or having, if you want to put your kids in childcare, that can only happen after 3 year old? What would be something that you would really like to see changed?
Well, first of all, I want to say also that FEFAF, we in that organization, it's an umbrella organization with maybe 11 member organizations from different countries. We work for valuing the unpaid caregiving work. So in different ways. So we are having conferences and gathering people around the issues and trying to work on at the UN. We have an accreditation at the UN. We have in both organizations, actually. But to have new policies, I think we need to reconsider how we live our lives. So it's not, this is not a small thing. The most important thing is to follow the children. They should be prioritized, because how we care for our children now is how we are creating our future. So that is very simple. Just go after all the research that exists on brain development in a child. We know so many things, and we don't use all the knowledge we have because we have other prioritizations, like GDP should expand all the time. We
Yeah,
don't.
it has reached to a point where it is an inconvenient truth.
Yes,
It's very inconvenient.
yeah. And then to make parents, let them create their families in and have time to do that. You can also work at the same time, but combine things and make it more flexible to live. Maybe we could work longer instead of working when we have our children, because our children needs us, and especially today when we have this tech no what is it called, when we have such an overload with information all the time, and we have our cell phones, and we have our brains are sensitive,
Yeah.
and it's
And it's
difficult.
very it's very hard to focus on what it is important. We are in so many ways being attracted to the outside of ourselves,
Mhm.
always reaching for the outside, then it is hard to focus on the inside, on the inner reflection, saying, okay, what it is important for me right now at this moment in my life. It feels like we are always chasing for a future. I can see that with my children in a way that the information on your cell phone or the iPad, and when they say, I would like to be a singer, or I would like to be a football player, and I say, so sing.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
play football. It's not just about watching.
No, exactly.
Watching. That's good, in terms of learning skills. Okay, now you, in theory, have learned the skills. Now you need to practice. To to go out and do those things, you need the practice. So you need to go out and, maybe one day you will be in those videos, but you never know how hard did those people had to work before they actually start making the videos. So that's the unseen work that we are not seeing, because they are so into what is going outside of themselves. In a way, it is important. That's how they also express themselves to the world. But more than that, it's what is your inner essence? What is your heart telling you to do right now? What is important for you? How do you think that you are going to develop as a human being? And I always think that it's not just about our jobs. Is what is the energy that we want to live in this world. And I think the biggest achievement of a woman, of a family, is actually the narrative of our children about us. That's what we are going to leave here. It's what they are going to say about, the choices that my mother did, or the choices that my father did. And they are the ones who are going to keep that tradition
Yeah.
go. So, Madeleine, thank you so much for today's talk. It's such a pleasure to have you. It's not the first time that we meet, but it's always great to have you. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.